Every 40 seconds, someone suffers a stroke, and every 3.5 minutes, someone loses their life because of it. It may sound distant, but the cause could lie in everyday habits, like how you use the bathroom each morning. Few people realize that rushing to urinate right after waking up, or sitting too long on the toilet, can cause a sudden spike in blood pressure, up to 90 millimeters of mercury, enough to rupture already weakened blood vessels in the brain. After age 65, the body's ability to regulate blood pressure drops significantly, turning small bathroom habits into factors that can increase stroke risk by up to 300%. And the unfortunate truth is, most doctors never ask you about these habits. In this video, we'll reveal 7 silent but dangerous routines and simple adjustments you can make at home to protect your brain health every day. But before we begin, let us ask you, did you drink water before or after going to the bathroom this morning? Leave a comment below. We're reading each one and will respond if there's a better way to support your health. If you find this topic helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe so we can continue this journey with you. Now, let's start with the first habit, something you may have done this very morning. Number 7. Rushing to urinate right after waking up. After a long night, our bodies typically lose a significant amount of water through breathing and sweating. Additionally, the bladder becomes full from storing urine for 6 to 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep. That's why we often feel the urge to urinate immediately upon waking. But the moment you rush into the bathroom and relieve yourself right away might be a moment of shock for your body. When urine flows out too quickly, especially after a night of dehydration, blood pressure can drop suddenly, slowing blood flow to the brain. For younger people, the body can usually compensate, but for those over 60, the blood pressure regulation system is much less adaptable. There's another risk that's just as dangerous and often overlooked, not fully emptying the bladder. When you urinate too quickly and don't double-check, a small amount of urine is often retained without you realizing it. This means your body doesn't fully release and remains in a mildly tense state, similar to a fight-or-flight response. This activates the sympathetic nervous system, causing blood pressure to rise, blood vessels to constrict, and oxygen flow to the brain to decrease. If this happens daily, it can increase the risk of plaque rupture or blood clot formation, 2 major triggers of stroke. A study published in the International Urology Journal found that rapid bladder emptying in the morning can raise systolic blood pressure by up to 30 millimeters of mercury, enough to exert serious pressure on blood vessel walls, especially in vulnerable areas like the brain. In some cases, this can lead to dizziness, lightheadedness, or even fainting on the spot, something many people mistake as mild low blood sugar, unaware that it's a more serious warning sign. More concerningly, after age 65, the bladder muscle, known as the detrusor, begins to weaken. Research shows it can lose up to 50% of its contractile strength. In other words, even if you feel like you've completely emptied your bladder, there's a high chance some urine remains. And this is the silent trap that can lead to chronic urinary retention, place pressure on the kidneys, and trigger the renin-angiotensin system, contributing to chronic high blood pressure. According to the European Journal of Neurology, post-void residual urine is common in older adults, but often goes unnoticed until serious complications arise. So if you wake up in the morning and feel the urge to urinate, try this. Sit on the edge of the bed for 1 to 2 minutes. Breathe slowly and deeply, and allow your body time to fully wake up. Then, once you're in the bathroom, urinate and wait an additional 10 seconds. Many people think they're done, but in fact, still retain some urine. This second go, known as the double voiding technique, has been shown by the U.S. National Institute on Aging to reduce bladder pressure by up to 60% helping to calm the sympathetic nervous system and stabilize blood pressure more effectively. It's a small habit that might seem insignificant, but it can help you start the morning feeling clearer and safer, especially if you're on a journey to keep your blood vessels and memory sharp after age 60. Number 6. Skipping your nighttime brushing? You're opening the door to stroke. You might be surprised to learn that something seemingly unrelated, brushing your teeth, can directly impact your brain and heart. But science has confirmed it's real, and the risk is far from minor. When you neglect proper oral care, especially at night, you're allowing millions of bacteria to invade your blood vessels, and those vessels are the critical pathways that deliver blood to your brain and heart. According to a study from Harvard Medical School, people with gum disease are 2 to 3 times more likely to suffer heart attacks, strokes, or serious cardiovascular issues compared to those with healthy gums. This happens because bacteria in plaque don't just stay confined to the mouth. They can seep through tiny cuts in the gums, which are especially common in people over 50, and enter the bloodstream, causing inflammation in vessel walls. Vascular inflammation is the launchpad for a host of problems, from high blood pressure to the formation of blood clots, one of the leading causes of ischemic stroke. Pharmaceutical dental expert Miranda Pascucci once warned during UK Heart Health Week, bacteria from the gums can travel to the heart, increasing inflammation in the arteries. This condition can lead to serious complications, including stroke. And the issue often lies in the habit of skipping nighttime brushing, a time when oral bacteria thrive due to a drier mouth and lower saliva production. Statistics from the University of South Carolina show that older adults who brush only once a day, typically in the morning, have a 70% higher risk of stroke compared to those who brush twice daily. That number is worth pondering. One small habit, accessible to everyone, can make such a huge difference. So what should you do to protect both your gums and your brain? It's simple. Commit to brushing your teeth twice a day, morning and night, for at least 2 minutes each time. Use toothpaste that contains sodium fluoride or stannous fluoride. As studies have shown, these ingredients can lower vascular inflammation markers, CRP, an early warning sign of stroke and heart disease. Additionally, use dental floss or interdental brushes daily to clean areas that a regular toothbrush can't reach. Especially avoid using mouthwash immediately after brushing, as it can wash away the protective fluoride layer. Instead, rinse with plain water after meals to remove food debris, and use specialized mouthwash after dinner or right before bed. One more tip not to overlook: use a tongue scraper instead of just your toothbrush. The tongue harbors a high concentration of bacteria and sulfur compounds, the source of bad breath and gum irritation. Research from Japan shows that using a scraper can remove up to 78% of harmful bacteria, whereas a toothbrush alone removes only about half. And finally, don't forget that nutrition is your internal toothpaste. Foods like almonds, peanuts, and walnuts are not only heart-friendly, but also strengthen the resistance of your gums and tooth enamel. The calcium, vitamin C, and vitamin E in these nuts have anti-inflammatory properties, support gum tissue connections, and boost immune defense. Proper oral care doesn't just keep your smile bright. It can help keep your blood vessels clear. And that means protecting your clarity, memory, and heartbeat every single day. A toothbrush, a piece of dental floss, and a few minutes each night could be the most overlooked stroke prevention remedy we have. Number 5. Don't rush to the bathroom. Right after waking up, the invisible thirst that could trigger a stroke. Each morning, many of us have the habit of rushing straight to the bathroom to urinate. It's a natural reaction after a long night without a bathroom break. However, few people realize that this habit, especially when done before drinking water and while still groggy, is one of the major factors that can significantly increase stroke risk in older adults. When you first wake up, your body is in a state of dehydration, whether you feel it or not. Throughout the night, you've silently lost a significant amount of water through breathing, sweat, and kidney filtration. At this point, your blood becomes thicker, your blood vessels constrict, and your heart has to pump harder to push this sludge like blood throughout your body. Especially if you urinate immediately without hydrating, combined with the shift in posture from lying down to standing up, your entire circulatory system is thrown into imbalance. This is when the brain may not receive enough blood, and in seniors with pre-existing plaque buildup or narrowed arteries, this can trigger an ischemic stroke right there in the bathroom. A study published in the Lancet confirmed that the risk of stroke increases by over 80% in the early morning hours. And dehydration is a key contributing factor. It's not just a feeling of dizziness or lightheadedness, as many assume. It may be a serious warning signal from the brain experiencing a temporary lack of blood supply. And there's more. Researchers from the University of Tokyo found that morning dehydration can increase platelet stickiness by up to 30%. This means your blood clots faster and is more prone to forming dangerous clots, the leading cause of stroke. So, forcing yourself to urinate while your body is still dry may unintentionally double or even triple the burden on your heart, brain, and blood vessels. Even more concerning, older adults often don't feel thirst as clearly as younger people. The body's thirst reflex weakens with age, so you might not feel the need to drink water even when your body is severely dehydrated. This silence from the body causes many to miss the single most important time of day to rehydrate. And that's why strokes happen more frequently in the morning, not by chance, but as the result of a chain of mistaken habits. So what's the solution? First, sit still in bed for about 1 to 2 minutes after waking up and breathe slowly to give your body time to boot up. Then, drink a glass of water, 300 to 500 milliliters, which is the recommended amount to help thin the blood, improve vessel elasticity, and support brain circulation. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that drinking water before standing up in the morning reduces the risk of postural hypotension by up to 61%, one of the key factors behind falls and strokes in seniors. Once you've had water and feel more awake, you can go urinate slowly, and while sitting down if you feel weak, dizzy, or are taking blood pressure medication. And don't forget to step out onto your balcony or stand by a window to take in some fresh air. It's a great way to energize your nervous and circulatory systems for a more balanced start to your day. Just 1 glass of water and a few minutes of morning adjustment can make a big difference, because stroke doesn't wait for you to be jogging or working under stress. It can start right in your bathroom the moment you wake up, if you're not careful. Number 4. Taking a hot shower in the morning without cooling down. A thermal shock that can suddenly rupture brain vessels. There's nothing more soothing than a hot shower in the morning. It chases away the cold, loosens up your muscles, and helps you feel relaxed. However, that very comfort may be hiding a danger for the vascular health of older adults. Thermal shock and extreme blood pressure fluctuations that can silently lead to a stroke. When you shower with hot water, your blood vessels expand, a process called vasodilation, which causes blood pressure to drop rapidly. That might sound beneficial, but in reality, for older adults, or those taking blood pressure medication, this drop can lead to dizziness, loss of balance, or even fainting right there in the bathroom. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that after just 15 minutes of hot bathing, people over 65 could experience a drop in systolic blood pressure by up to 20 millimeters of mercury, enough to leave your head spinning if you stand up too quickly. But that's only half the story. As soon as you step out of the warm water and into the cooler air of the bathroom, those dilated vessels suddenly constrict. The rapid temperature change throws your body into a state of regulatory confusion, and blood pressure spikes, this time sharply, in a short period. This is particularly dangerous for those with weak blood vessels or existing plaque in their arteries. The abrupt pressure shift can tear vessel walls or dislodge plaque, setting the stage for blood clots that lead to stroke. Finnish researchers once published a study showing that older adults who regularly take long, hot showers without ending with a cool rinse have double the risk of stroke compared to those who finish with cold water. The culprit is the uncontrolled fluctuation in blood pressure caused by temperature shifts affecting the vessel walls. Here's something most people don't notice. You continue to sweat while showering with hot water, but the humid steam masks that sensation. This ongoing fluid loss, without the sensation of thirst, thickens the blood and increases the likelihood of clot formation. Thick blood, vessels that dilate and then constrict rapidly, and sudden temperature swings all create a silent storm within the circulatory system, especially in middle-aged and elderly individuals. So how can you protect yourself without giving up your morning shower routine? It's simple. End with 30 seconds of cool or lukewarm water. This helps blood vessels constrict gradually, stabilizes blood pressure, and prevents sudden changes when exposed to cooler air outside the bathroom. If you feel dizzy while showering, sit down immediately and avoid standing motionless under the stream for too long. Gentle movement during your shower can also improve circulation, reduce blood pooling in the legs, and boost blood flow to the brain. And if you often feel unsteady after bathing, consider placing a chair in the bathroom so you can sit if needed, or install safety grab bars. Just one small adjustment: turning off the hot water 30 seconds early, standing for 10 more seconds under a cool rinse, could reduce your risk of stroke or post-shower fainting by up to 50%, according to research published in Temperature Austin. A small action, a big layer of protection for your brain. Number 3. Straining during bowel movements, a silent habit that can trigger sudden death. Many people, especially those over 50, are used to pushing with all their strength every time they go to the bathroom. Some believe that the harder you strain, the quicker you'll finish, and the cleaner your bowels will be. But the frightening truth is that this seemingly harmless act significantly increases the risk of hemorrhagic stroke, according to a major study published in Stroke, the leading medical journal of the American Heart Association. This study revealed that in older adults, especially those with a history of high blood pressure or atherosclerosis, forceful straining during bowel movements can increase the risk of intracerebral hemorrhage by over 300%. That number is not only alarming, it's a wake-up call for millions of people who unknowingly repeat this habit every day. When you strain hard, your abdominal area and surrounding muscles contract suddenly. Abdominal pressure spikes, compressing major blood vessels and disrupting blood flow to the heart and brain. At the same time, straining mimics a breath-holding reflex, known as the Valsalva maneuver, a state that temporarily reduces blood return to the heart, forcing it to pump harder to compensate. The result is a sudden blood pressure surge, sometimes by more than 50 millimeters of mercury, placing enormous pressure on cerebral blood vessels. For older adults with hardened arteries, this is the perfect setup for a brain hemorrhage or an ischemic stroke. Stroke once featured a study showing that simply straining too hard during a bowel movement was enough to trigger a stroke in individuals with underlying cardiovascular risk. Even worse, this phenomenon can also lead to arrhythmias or heart attacks, as the heart struggles to get enough oxygen while its workload doubles. People with a history of angina, hypertension, or coronary artery disease need to be especially cautious, as this may be the silent beginning of a sudden cardiac event. It doesn't stop there. The habit of forceful straining can also cause mechanical damage. The delicate lining of the rectum can tear, leading to pain and bleeding. Those with chronic constipation are even more likely to experience complications like internal hemorrhoids, external hemorrhoids, and anal fissures, perpetuating a painful cycle of strain, fear, injury, repeat. What's more, the majority of these cases have a common root cause: a diet lacking fiber and water. When the body is dehydrated, stool becomes dry and hard to move through the intestines. Meanwhile, older adults often eat fewer vegetables and fruits and drink very little water, a perfect storm for long-term constipation. So how can you escape this seemingly harmless trap? First, make sure you're drinking 1.5 to 2 liters of water a day, especially in the morning. Second, increase your intake of soluble fiber from natural sources like prunes, chia seeds, lentils, pears, or oats. These foods help soften stool, increase bulk, and support smoother bowel movements. A simple yet highly effective tip is to use a small footstool when sitting on the toilet. This natural squatting position straightens the rectal canal, reduces pressure during bowel movements, and lessens the need to strain. This traditional practice has been confirmed by modern studies to reduce the force needed to defecate by up to 70%. Remember, the bathroom should not be a place where you fight every day. With just a few small adjustments to your daily routine, you can avoid a habit that seems minor but poses serious risks to your heart and brain health. No straining, no forcing, no sacrificing your health just for a moment of pushing through. Number 2. Sitting too long on the toilet browsing your phone, a time-killing habit that could also kill brain function. Have you ever gone to the bathroom for a quick visit, only to get caught up reading an article, replying to messages, or watching a few short videos on your phone? If your answer is yes, especially if this happens daily, you're not alone. Many people, especially older adults, have turned the bathroom into a space for relaxing, catching up on news, or even gaming. However, experts warn that this seemingly harmless habit can be dangerously bad for your brain health. Sitting too long in a bent knee position, especially on a toilet, restricts blood flow from the legs back to the heart and brain. This condition is known as impaired venous circulation. In individuals over 60, sitting on the toilet for more than 15 minutes has been shown to reduce cerebral blood flow by up to 17%, according to neuroepidemiology. This means the brain receives less oxygen, increasing the risk of blood clots and ischemic stroke. Things get worse when you combine prolonged sitting with intense focus on a phone screen. Just 10 minutes of phone use can raise heart rate and systolic blood pressure in older adults by up to 15%, according to a 2020 study in Frontiers in Psychology. The cause lies in screen light, rapid content flow, and psychological stimulation, which activate the sympathetic nervous system, speeding up the heartbeat, narrowing blood vessels, and increasing pressure on the brain's circulation. Additionally, when we tilt our heads down to view our phones, a common posture in the bathroom, the vertebral arteries in the neck become compressed. These arteries are crucial for supplying blood to the cerebellum and brainstem, areas that control essential functions like heart rate, balance, and breathing. Prolonged neck flexion, especially in those with narrowed or hardened arteries, can reduce blood flow to these brain regions, increasing the risk of dizziness, loss of consciousness, or stroke. Prolonged sitting, coupled with slouching and stress from phone content, followed by a sudden stand-up motion, creates a double shock to blood pressure and circulation. In older adults, who are already prone to orthostatic hypotension, this can lead to dizziness, falls, or even fainting. So if you think taking your phone to the bathroom is just a harmless habit, remember, it's silently extending your time in a position that harms your circulation and blood pressure. By simply limiting bathroom time to under 5 to 7 minutes, leaving your phone outside, and maintaining good posture, straight back not overbending your neck, you're already making a significant impact on your heart and brain health. The bathroom is not a reading lounge. It's a place to release your body, not add more pressure to your blood vessels. And even a small change, like walking for 2 to 3 minutes after leaving the toilet, can help reboot circulation, restore oxygen to the brain, and significantly reduce stroke risk. This isn't just advice, it's a warning from your heart and brain. Number 1. Holding your breath while straining or standing up. A small reflex that can have devastating consequences for the brain. In many everyday actions, from getting out of bed, bending down to pick something up, to straining during a bowel movement, there's something we often do unconsciously. We hold our breath. You might not realize it, but this is a common reflex, especially in older adults, when exerting effort. However, researchers warn that this seemingly harmless habit can cause a sudden spike in blood pressure in just a few seconds, enough to lead to a stroke or even death. This phenomenon is medically known as the Valsalva reflex, when you hold your breath and engage your abdominal muscles to create pressure, such as during intense straining or trying to stand up without exhaling. This temporarily reduces blood flow back to the heart, forcing the heart to beat faster and harder to compensate. Immediately afterward, the body reacts by constricting blood vessels, causing blood pressure to spike rapidly. A clinical study recorded that in just a few seconds, blood pressure can rise by up to 90 millimeters of mercury, a dizzying increase capable of rupturing a weak vessel or dislodging arterial plaque in the brain. For individuals with narrowed or hardened arteries, which includes the majority of those over 60, this pressure change is like a direct blow to the vessel walls. If the brain's blood vessels lack elasticity, the result can be an intracerebral hemorrhage or an ischemic stroke. Alarmingly, this type of stroke can occur within 5 to 10 minutes after a completely routine action done by nearly everyone each morning, getting out of bed or straining during a bowel movement. What's unfortunate is that most older adults don't even realize they're holding their breath. They simply think they need to brace themselves a bit to complete the task. But as we age, the autonomic nervous system becomes less flexible. Blood vessels lose their ability to expand and contract efficiently, and the heart works harder. And it's in that very moment when unconscious breath-holding becomes the last straw. A study from the Japanese Heart Institute also showed that older adults who faint or suffer a stroke while standing up from bed are directly affected by a combination of the Valsalva reflex and orthostatic hypotension. When the brain hasn't received enough blood, but blood pressure shifts too rapidly. If this occurs alongside a dehydrated morning state or mild overnight dehydration, the risk multiplies dramatically. The good news is, you can completely control this reflex simply by exhaling gently when exerting effort. Instead of holding your breath while standing up, breathe evenly and slowly as you rise, avoiding sudden posture changes. If you've been sitting for a long time, use your arms to lightly support yourself and reduce pressure on your abdomen and chest. When using the toilet, especially during a bowel movement, never forcefully strain by holding your breath. Instead, exhale steadily to help maintain stable blood pressure. The difference between a normal day and a serious medical emergency may sometimes come down to one held breath. In a study published in the Journal of Hypertension, older adults who had the habit of taking a deep breath, holding it, and forcefully straining had a 3.2 times higher risk of brain hemorrhage compared to those who maintained normal breathing while exerting effort. Remember, inhale, exhale, rise slowly. That alone can protect your heart and brain from one of the most silent but dangerous hazards in daily life. And share this with your loved ones. because sometimes a single proper breath can save a life. Thank you for taking the time to watch to the end of today's video. We hope these seemingly small but high-risk habits help you reflect and make adjustments to better protect your heart and brain health each day, starting right in your bathroom. Just a few simple changes can significantly reduce your risk of stroke. If you found this video helpful, please share it with your loved ones. Wishing you continued good health, mental clarity, and peaceful, confident mornings.